Hey everybody, good morning, happy Monday from everyone at AM 1100 The Flag, WDAY Radio. Pleased to be here and a chance to honor another great member of our law enforcement community. When we do this every week, we are certainly, or every month, we're tipping our cap to somebody who's gone above and beyond, but really what we're doing is saying thank you to everyone in law enforcement, especially Fargo PD. And Chief Cebulski, great to see you here. Thanks for coming over today as well. And it's one of the really cool things we get to do at our radio stations, to be able to honor law enforcement for the great work that all of you do day to day. So we appreciate you very much here. I want to also send a special thanks to Joel Bechtold and his team at Luther Family Ford. We've been doing this for a number of years now, and Joel, it's a lot of fun to get together and see a great group of people in the office here every month we get to do this.
Hey, maybe we should do it every week. What do you think?
There's probably enough thanks to
I
go
think
around,
so,
I
yeah.
think.
We could thank them all, yeah.
Absolutely.
There's a lot we're missing.
Why do you like being involved in this program, Joel?
Why do I like? That's a tough question, but no, it's tough, but it's easy. But we just see a need to recognize the people that don't get recognized enough. How's that?
Yeah. Yep.
And it's important.
Yeah, it's important. Well said. Absolutely. And as I mentioned, we're honoring Fargo Police Department today, and thanks to many of you who have come out here today. Our honoree this month is Detective Brent Malone, and so let's give Brent a hand here. Congrats, Brent, and thanks for coming out today. And we'll hear from Brent here just a little bit, but want to tell you a little bit about him today. And thanks Chief Cebulski and the team for providing some information on Detective Malone. Detective Brent Malone was hired by the department in July of 2012. While on patrol, he fine-tuned his investigative skills by seeking additional training as a crime scene investigator and crash reconstruction. He was also trained as a bike officer and crisis intervention trained officer. As a patrol officer, Malone was a recipient of the Life Saving Award and the Purple Heart. In January of 2017, he was selected to move to the Investigations Division and serve as a property crimes detective. He has become one of the most seasoned and senior detectives in the property unit and serves as an excellent resource and mentor to his fellow detectives. His supervisor has said Detective Malone is always willing to assist others with their cases and share his knowledge and experience to help them propel their cases forward. Aside from helping new detectives, Detective Malone has managed a high caseload himself. So far in 2021, just this year alone, he's been assigned over 84 cases and has completed 402 supplements. Detective Malone handles his cases with professionalism and determination. He routinely follows up with officers with updates to their cases, advising them when charges have been filed. Despite a high caseload, Detective Malone is always willing to assist other detectives with their cases and offers to take on high priority cases. Detective Malone has been the lead investigator on several arson cases. Yeah, unfortunately, we've had way too many of those this year, haven't we? And also an aggravated assault case involving a stabbing. Detective Malone's investigation into these incidents are thorough and well documented, which is important for our prosecutors. For these reasons, Detective Malone has been nominated to be recognized for the Luther Family Ford Salute to Law Enforcement. Please join me in saying congratulations to Detective Brent Malone. All right, Brent, so tell us a little bit about your journey into law enforcement. Is it something you always wanted to do or something that came along later in life?
It was something that I always wanted to do. When I was a little kid, about 6 years old, I made a drawing that said I want to be a police officer. And so I grew up thinking that, and then my family clearly sent me to NDSU for pharmacy, since that's what I wanted.
They tried to talk you out of it,
Yes.
huh?
And then since the highest skill level I had education-wise was mathematics, so then you would think engineering, and secretly changed my major to criminal justice in 3 weeks, and been on that road ever since. So
Now, you've done a number of different things. Why this particular avenue is the one that's stuck for you?
just the opportunities with the public and with the department, and we our training team and training budget and everything that the department offers. This was the place that I wanted to be. So
What makes a good detective, Brent?
just communication skills and your ability to help people out and then help them out as well. You need to work good as a team member. I mean, you talk about the case numbers and the number of supplements. On the flip side of it, you have to realize there's just as many people that have done that many cases and that many supplements to help you out as you've done to help them out.
Is it property? Has that kind of become your field of expertise? I know there's a lot of detectives that do a lot of different case work. For you, is property kind of what makes you tick?
It does. The whole field makes me tick as far as investigations. I really enjoy getting out on major incidents and helping other people out as far as leading cases. I love leading cases and leading investigations. I also love being a part of those investigations as a team member too. So.
Now, do you give a little fist pump when you break a case, when you find that one piece of evidence or that one testimony piece that helps? I've got to think that's a great feeling.
Yes, there's been several moments like that, and you have to keep your composure together a little bit because at the end of the day, it's not fully tied up. You still have to do all the work. Yeah. We've run into that many times where we might know the answer to something, and we still can predict there's months of work to do. And people are on board to help you out and do that. So
I've got to think in your job, it'd be hard to leave it at work. Like, I bet there's some nights you lay up at the ceiling going, why can't we figure this out? Or what else haven't we looked into? I bet it never really leaves you, does it?
It doesn't all the time, and I have to really give credit to my wife sometimes too, allowing me to come back into work late nights. And we meet up sometimes in the middle of the night because we know we're on the cusp of something big, and really stick our brains together and dedicate some extra time to some of the stuff, and it really pays out. So.
Yeah. Chief Zabolski, tell us a little bit about Brent, and we've obviously heard the bio and all the information, but what does this guy mean to your team?
Well, I'll tell you, he asked a question about what makes a good investigator, and I would add in tenacity and thoroughness. And Brent is definitely tenacious, and he looks very charming today, yes. But he's not afraid to go down and do the work. And you talk about some of these arson investigations. That's a lot of dirty work at the scene. There's a lot of investigative follow-up. He was really critical in solving several of these. He doesn't give up. He follows leads. He's very thorough in what he does. And when these cases come to closure, the other side of the coin is it has to be able to be prosecuted successfully. And if you don't have good investigative techniques, follow the law, eliminate all of those other leads, you don't get cases to court, and Brent's been excellent at doing that, and he's been, as you mentioned, passing this expertise along to others in our department. Along with that, he's participated in a staff study for the Detective Bureau, and he's a member of our shift representative team, so he's involved in a lot of avenues of the department, really demonstrating some great leadership, and we're proud to have him on board.
You and I, when we visited last on the radio, you mentioned there are more investigations, more property crimes, more things like that, arson, than we've maybe seen in past years. Are you still seeing that trend continuing, David?
Well, I think property crime in general, yeah. The arsons seem to have stemmed with some of the arrests and the investigations, which is good. Burglaries, things of that nature are still a crime that's pretty common in our city. And again, having a group of really high-skilled investigators, having a solid team, that makes a difference in clearing those. It's a small amount of people who are involved in those crimes.
How many people do you have working on investigations, doing that detective work at Fargo PD?
Well, we have 25 currently investigators in our department. We'll be actually starting a new process here very soon to establish permanent detective positions, which is something that Brent participated in as part of that staff study. So we'll establish an amount of permanent detectives and some rotational and bump that number up to 28 so they can help alleviate some of that caseload and give greater attention to those investigations.
When I watch Mark Harmon do it on TV, all the cases get solved in an hour. I'm guessing it doesn't exactly happen that way. What's typical as far as how long it takes to solve a case?
We try to get everything wrapped up as well as we can in about 90 days. That's kind of the goal. But a lot of these, when you're talking Mark Harmon and some of those shows, the thing that gets us on some of them is like DNA evidence, and that taking months and not minutes.
So Abby doesn't run it under the microscope in 10 minutes?
No,
okay.
There's no magic fingerprint database for us to get immediate answers. So there's a lot of people that expect results right away, and sometimes we have to be out front of that and explain to them that that's not quite how it works.
Yeah, life doesn't work in 1 hour increments, right?
We wish it did.
Yeah, no kidding. Well, there's a lot of really great things that go along for the ride when we do this. Joel and his team donate a $100 gift card to the person being honored that month, and they typically find a good place to pay that forward to. Brent, I don't know if there's an agency or a nonprofit in the community that you're partial to, but have you got an idea where that might go?
Yeah, so the Dakota Medical Foundation has Mission of Mercy coming up, a free dental clinic, so we're going to give it on over there, help them out with that.
Very good. So another great turn being done here by what's happening here at Luther Family Ford. Coming up in just a few minutes, we'll take some photos as well that will appear on websites and social media and spread the word that way as well. And in the days ahead, we're going to be teaming up with Brent and having him on the Need to Know Morning Show to talk a little bit about what he does. So we'll make a radio version of this as well. Mark Ostlin, the team at Sandy's Donuts, I think I saw a box come in there. When those orange boxes come through the door, everybody tends to pay attention. So we got some goodies coming here to Luther Ford and as well to Fargo PD as well. And the last thing I always like to finish with is that at our operation at Flag Family Media, we will always give the benefit of the doubt to the men and women who serve us in law enforcement. We know that life isn't lived on a TV stage and things aren't quite as easy, and going into difficult situations, you never exactly know what's going to happen. And we understand that. I know Joel does as well, and so we give the benefit of the doubt to those who are serving and protecting us in the coverage that we do at our station. So once again, would you please join me in giving a great hand today to Detective Brent Malone. And we'll see you back here next time on AM1100theflag.com and WDAY.com.